Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the T.O.A. podcast. How you been? Where you been? Where have I been? Where have you been, Ek?
Mostly, I've been here.
That does track. This is your house. Yes. So for all the few viewers pay attention, yes, it's been a few weeks since we've had a podcast. Circumstances happen like that sometime, but hopefully we'll get into a new routine for at least for a few months until that gets broken up. So you can't expect anything too crazy from life, but. We try what we try. We do what we do. Also, congratulations, we've broken 150 subs.
Oh, yeah.
151.
Another number.
151. Don't worry, we're not doing anything until we get to 500. If I get to 500 subs, then, depending what time of year it is, either Galley's going to meet the water or Kopaka's going to meet the ice, depending what time of year that happens.
Yeah, if it's the summer, it's Galley.
So, winter, I know you haven't listened to the podcast, but if you like this idea of this content, subscribe, like, comment, do all the things. But moving into the topic of today, I'm going to bring it back old school. One that we never actually released about.
Oh, one of those forgotten ones that never
The Great Spirit Robot.
Ah, yes.
We tried that, I think, 3 times. No, the Minecraft one we tried. The Great Spirit Robot I tried at least a couple times. That was the first podcast, I think, that we had to try re-recording.
There was recording issues or something.
I didn't save one project, and then another one just didn't, properly. When I was recording on a Fillmore, it just didn't, once you've done the recording, the audio and all that's supposed to just get dropped into the, the project, and it just didn't. And so, after a couple tries, we were just too tired.
Pretty much.
And then we kind of forgot about the topic, because, for the most part, I don't think we've really gone into too much detail about the robot itself, or what the event of the Rising of Man doing, anything surrounding it.
Let's just say, when we first heard about it, we thought it was the dumbest thing that ever existed in Bionicle.
I don't know if I thought it was the dumbest thing. I just thought it was.
I thought it was. The dumbest
thing. You were the old teen going on being an adult. You were an adult, I think, at that point. 2008.
I was 16.
Oh, never mind. You weren't an
adult.
So
in some cultures, yes.
That's
most cultures.
You can drive, which means you're capable.
I'm still not capable of adulting. I'm sorry.
No, but it is interesting that after, almost 16, 14 years since that basically was revealed, looking back to me, I'm I don't even think a second about it.
2008 was revealed?
Yeah.
That was 16 years ago. That was a long time
That was a whole driver's license age of person year ago.
That was half my lifetime ago. Just about.
Okay, you got a couple of years before that, or just one?
I'm 32.
Oh.
Divide that by 2. Well, I'm 32 into the summer.
Oh, dear goodness. Oh, wow.
Half my lifetime.
That's your track 16.
Feeling old.
Half your life. Oh, my gosh. That is... Wow. Okay, that... Did not expect that. Also, by the way, the day of this being recorded is my, apparently the anniversary of me making the channel.
Well, what do you know?
Yeah, YouTube, told me that. So apparently, Valentine's Day is the day I made a lot of things in my life have happened on Valentine's Day. None of them dates. Go figure.
For better or for worse, none of them dates.
All of them have been for better, I guess. But that's all personal life stuff I'm not going to get into. So happy Valentine's Day,
Way too personal.
Way too personal. So now you're beeswax. Now you're bumblebees infected mask wax.
Yeah, I don't want any of that either.
Bumblebees. Honestly, I kind of want to see a bumblebee with a cocoon. Just with wings. I don't know, a cocoon and a bee just seemed... Kind of looks like a bee's face.
Or even just a bee, but yeah, I think it wouldn't hurt. Just slap a couple chorus wings and boom.
Or give it a thorax. Use that for the main body, but then make a thorax behind it and boom.
Easy. We're getting a little off topic here.
Are we getting off topic? I don't know. What is...
We're supposed to talk about a few million kilometer tall robot or something.
Yes, and okay, that is debatable how big it is.
But it's still huge.
It is one of those things about the Bionicle lore that, looking at it now, I don't think it is weird. If we were exposed, I would say, to more types of media. If we were exposed to something like Halo, to war,
animes,
to animes, to what is it? Warcraft 40K?
World. Yeah.
No, not Warhammer 40K.
Warhammer.
All these kind of stuff where there's a lot more just outlandish, crazy, huge things, or even to Transformers with Unicron back in the day.
Yeah, that's
we probably wouldn't have been as off-put by it.
Craziness is
Because, okay, that was 2008, which means that was the year after I got into Transformers. Because I got into Transformers right before the 2007 movie came out. And so I don't think I knew anything about Unicron until probably about a couple years after Matanui. So, Matanui's my OG giant robot guy. What can I say? But like I said, looking back at it now, it's like it seems completely normal. And the part that I think that surprised all of us later on, because we all thought it was like, okay, this is it. But the fact that it was all there from day one.
Which, the fact that they kept that secret is amazing. Like, there were obviously, like, crazy theories. Like, hey, if you look at the ship Matanui and, like, the names of these things, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of like a face.
Well, I think...
And that's about it.
I think, like, either Christian Faber or Greg Farsi had mentioned at one point that there were a couple people who had correctly guessed the big reveal. But because it's like a giant robot everyone lives in, that's so outlandish that no one would ever believe. Like, do you know the joke in movies where someone goes, it's like, I'll do this. It's like, why are you doing this to me? Because if you tell someone, no one's ever going to believe you. Like that.
Exactly, yes.
And so if you just don't acknowledge the theory, no one's going to suspect anything. Which, and I will say, because like, I don't know, because it wasn't just the short, like 4-minute, like the clips of the Mystica stuff where he went from, them stealing, like, like all those short Mystica movies. Videos, they ended up being a 4-length one if you put them all together, but the last one was Matanui Rising. Was that basically when we realized it was a giant robot, or was it the comic?
I'm pretty sure that video was the first thing that we saw.
That's
kind of
that's how I remember it too. Which, can I just say, looking back, I would say that is one of the things that gives me more goosebumps than anything. Like I say, just a giant robot rising out of the ocean.
And in hindsight, the clues are obvious. Like, watch the second movie, Legends of Matanui, and it's like, okay,
you can just take that as symbolism. It's like, yes. The city goes dark because Matanui's dying. Why are there 2 moons? It doesn't, because let's be honest, those aren't actually his eyes either.
No.
Because then the movies would just stay in the whole time. So it's like, it's very symbolic. But the thing about the Bongo movies is, because Mask of Light is the first movie, and they're like, but Legend of Matanui 2 is literally known as Bongo 2, there's nothing in the first one that leans anything to being a robot.
No.
At all.
No.
The second one, because it's part of that saying, kind of new, you wouldn't really think much of it, because the first one didn't set it up. Now, if you go all the way back to the first thing Bongo put out, which is Monog, guess what?
There's a few hints there.
They hint that they can't dig any deeper, and they don't know what substance they hit.
The dwarves have dug too deep, and well, sorry, they're not dwarves, but they still dug too deep.
They did find Makua's lair that way, and it's not the Balrog, but a silver how.
Just as bad in some people's estimates.
More or less. Pardon me. I'm a little sick. And that was great because I remember at least when 2004 rolled around, we were all trying to figure out how exactly Matanui and Matanui worked.
Especially after watching, they had to cross a barrier to escape Matanui to get to Matanui, and they found Matanui in Makuda's lair. This doesn't make any sense.
I think eventually by 2006 or 2007 they kind of revealed the domes to some degree, and we kind of had a slightly better sense. Everyone's under the ground, but Voinui and Matanui are up here, but everyone else is down under.
Okay, that kind of.
And then Carter Nui happened, and we're like, "What the hell's going on?" And then the whole reveal happened. So, and for me, I'm like, I love the idea, especially the origins of.
Yes, nowadays I think it is really cool.
Well, I think it's also I like where the idea came from. Or at least, I don't know if the giant robot was the whole idea, but the idea of T.O.A coming in canisters.
Well, obviously, if they're the T.O.A canisters is like a pill. Well, obviously, someone has to be taking this pill.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't know where exactly which one came, if the robot came first or the T.O.A canisters came first. I don't really know. I'm assuming
I like to imagine that Christian Faber was just sitting at the desk and he's looking at his pills. He's half-eyed. He's near, little guy's saving me. Hey, that's actually a good idea.
I mean, it's so long ago. If you ask probably the people, they'd probably not have an exact memory. And I know there's interviews with Christian Faber where I think he goes over some of it. So, but that having that kind of cool reason for it. Overall, is all good. The only problem I have with the Great British Spirit Robot is when you start to think about all the other islands that's involved with it. Because my one big question is, does everyone know they're in Matanui, in a robot? They know they're in the universe. And they have a pretty limited scope of the universe, because the universe is the robot. But does everyone realize that they're like, oh yes, I'm in the lower leg. We have to go visit the Makutas, who's in the upper left shoulder.
I don't think they're really aware of it.
And it's like, so, but everyone's in the dome, and you have to go through tunnels to get to each dome.
They just understand that you're in this island way down here in the left foot. You can't just go straight across. It just doesn't work like you have to go up with these islands and then down those islands.
Yeah, and
It's
like
just the way the universe works.
No, but this is the thing. This is the one of actually. But this next thing I want to bring up is actually was going to be the very first video I was going to put in the channel when I decided to make. I tried being a part-time YouTuber, sort of as a hobby. Was if you're in the arm, let's say you're in the lower arm, the wrist, right? And you want to go up to Artaka, which is the upper arm. I think I could be wrong about that. Let's just say it is, right? You're traveling, and Madanui decides to curl his arm. Your tunnel just goes a 90-degree turn upwards.
I'm pretty sure you wouldn't really.
Or is it
because it's probably got his own internal gravity that no one would even notice. If
Well, you wouldn't notice it, but I'm sure if you were right here, like if you were at the elbow and you saw it then, or is it just a big enough interior that you wouldn't notice it too?
I think it's big enough that you wouldn't really notice.
So the tunnels are flexible.
Exactly.
Okay.
I just thought of it as the tubes in Metro Nui, but extending beyond really fast.
Yeah, it's like chutes. Like once
Chute
like
system, yeah.
But everyone goes by boats to different islands.
Yeah, that one makes no sense.
Also, yeah, Zacta's here too, by the way, folks. You might not be able to hear him too well.
I'm
Over there.
there in the background, like a good Zacta should.
Like I said, the whole idea, like, I mean, this is one of those things you just don't think about too much. Because I'm like, when you see Madanui, he's never like, but I'm like, just imagine you were in
But
there.
not too much. I'm like, I haven't thought about this at all until you brought it up 10 seconds ago.
This, like I said, this was like going to be my first video. I have a video of me going over this, but I think I deleted the video or I never uploaded it. It's sitting somewhere.
Or it's not.
And no, I know I don't think it is because I think I was too cringed out by it, so I got rid of it. Like I said, it was the first video I tried doing. Like that wasn't a showing someone how to take eyes out of a head.
Great video, by the way. Check it out.
Exactly, first video on the channel. Go. Which in theory, if it's the first video of the channel, does that also mean it was published on Valentine's Day?
Possibly. You may have created the channel and then uploaded a video some days later.
I know I did it because I did it I made the channel to show that video.
Oh, we'll have to
Wait, no, because I made the video, but I don't think I had a channel. I just uploaded, I think, directly to BZ Power. I don't think I actually linked it through. I can't remember actually how I did it. I'll do some spelunking at some point. But yeah, the great big robot, which the fact that it is basically the Matoran universe. It was the grand reveal to essentially the main bit of Monocle before he decided to have a soft reboot with Praetorians, but never had any I'll see set of it.
And there have been a couple, at least one ideas that
I think
it got enough votes, I believe, but it didn't pass the review process.
Yeah, and honestly, if you go back to our old videos where we were talking about ideas, sets that we wanted, the Great Spear Robot has always been a hot contender on that. And I still think it fits there.
If there was a big system-built set, Bionicle fans would still go crazy over it, because it's the Great Spirit Robot.
And I think it's just a big, imposing model that people would want to have regardless, depending what size you
A lot of people
went.
might be like, it's a giant block of gray.
Technically, we've only had 3 interpretations of Madanui in LEGO. You had the canister set, the Titan set, and the little egg piece of the gift of purchase one as the little rock piece for Madanui.
That was the best Easter egg in the most literal sense.
Weirdly enough, that's almost technically more Makutas than we've had. We've had the original Makuta set, T.O.A. Doom and Maxios are dubious Makutas, and then the little rock from Makuta with the gift of purchase set.
Yeah, the Doom and Maxios are not Makuta.
Don't forget the combiner model.
Those don't count. I don't count those.
It had a special masterpiece that only came with it.
That's a Takuta Nuva set.
No, we're not talking. We're talking the.
Oh, the Ultimate Doom.
That's
I try to forget that sometimes exists.
Yeah, it is pretty ugly.
But I mean, if Lego ever made a Great Spirit Robot, Lego Icons or Ideas set, it could be Makuta or Madanui, depending how you want it to be.
Either or, just so buy 2. So now you have both.
Make them duke it out.
Of course, one's supposed to be smaller than the other, but let's not get into details.
I mean, how much smaller is debatable. It's just meant to be smaller. And
Yes, but if you bought 2 of the set, they would be the same size.
Also, you gotta give the Great Spirit, or the Great Beings credit. They made a giant robot. that had, as far as I'm aware of, no interior. Presumably.
Just the big empty
It was meant to
shell.
be basically housed by the Mananui or possibly Makuta intelligence or whatever. Or it was, and just never did. And then they basically made a slightly bigger robot. I know we're talking like planet-sized robots here, but slightly bigger moon-sized robots here. Slightly bigger robot and went, you know what? We're going to put a bunch of interior into this.
Just put a bunch of islands in it.
Let's put a bunch of islands. Like, part of me has always wondered part of the reason why the Great Beans even put stuff in Manu. Like, the Matoran makes sense. They're the ones actually technically running and keeping everything really smoothly.
So, like, when you think of, like, Metro Nui,
It's like just,
island makes kind of sense.
it's all the others you start thinking about. Like, why are they here? Why are these weapon-making vortex down here? And my theory is, the Great Beans went like, hey, we got room to put a bunch of experiments in here. Let's see how our living creatures do in a social setting. Like, I like how...
We have this giant robots exploring. It's got so much empty room inside of it. We may as well fill it with
I legit
something.
feel like they were doing more than just making a robot. They was like, you know what? We're making a habitat ring, see how our creations live and thrive, and when they come back, we can see the progress.
Unlike other people, our habitat ring isn't a ring; it's a person.
But like I say, no, they can. Once Man knew we'd come back, I'm assuming they were going to be like, okay, let's see how our creations have festered. Basically, a bunch of petri dishes inside Man knew is essentially what they are. Which is one reason why I generally think that like why Rocky are there are more so to engage the other beings, you know, just liven things up. Make things more interesting, you know? Because they're probably looking at, okay, no, as long as no one takes over Man Nui's consciousness, we're fine. We don't have to worry about anything. Everything can continue on inside his body as it goes.
Look at that. They're not smart enough for that.
The Makuta, no one's in gaseous form. Nothing. The Makuta, we will, and I don't think they expected the Makuta to evolve into a gaseous form. But again, that's one of the many petri dishes they were looking at. You know, one was maybe the Makuta. And also, you know, give some of them different roles. Also, this is not stuff that's ever been mentioned or anything, but this, for me, this helps me rationalize the insanity of...
what you call head canon.
Well, Metro Nui is quite literally head canon. So, yeah. No, it's definitely a... really cool. I'm actually kind of curious. I would like to actually explain that to someone who isn't like a Bongo fan at all, and to explain to them like, yeah, so there's a giant robot and everyone lives inside it, but they don't know they live inside it. Or actually no, this is how you do. You explain a bunch of the first like 4 years of story, and they go, oh, by the way, all this is taking place inside a giant robot, except the first 3 years. That's on his face. They don't know it. I feel like you can't reveal the Great Spirit robot right off the bat if you're explaining Bionicle to people. Because I've learned is if you want to explain Bionicle to people, you kind of have to explain it as it's been revealed. Start with, well, you know, you got these robotic biomechanical beings on a tropical beach,
island.
you know, so they all got the elemental powers, you know, you got the wise leaders and such. And then you start going that way, because I'm like, if you just start basically, if you go with like the full lore, it's just like, nah, it's...
Let's just say you have to start somewhere for it to make somewhat sense.
Then I think the way that things are mostly revealed story-wise is...
Maybe just go by year and you're pretty much good.
Here, read these books.
It'll take you about 5 minutes, so... 5
minutes a book.
Oh, you want some pictures? Here, we have some comics. You can read those instead.
I mean, the hierarchy is books, comics, like basically for the grand story, there's really only 2 options: there's books and comics, because no other media covers enough of it.
The movies, you know, they take some good chunks, but you
They
know,
stop.
they leave. Yeah, there's a lot left out.
And the games, like the 2 Monogs, and then like a few other like the Proc Online one, like there's a kind of a gap in Metro Nui, but I think if you played every game, you'd have story. You would have story going through all of them, but there'd be major gaps in certain places, especially I think with Mystica, because I don't know if there was actually many games that involved a story at all. There were games stuff, but they were just more to unlock.
They were just little fun
features.
things to play.
Arcade. They were arcade games, not.
Yes.
They weren't part of the actual story. Like not like the way Monog and like the Void Nui Online game was, which even the Void Nui Online game is debatable how much that was
canon.
I think it's dubiously canon. There's nothing like inherently.
Even like the Monog has parts that aren't really canon.
Depending who you ask. Depending who you ask. If you ask Greg, he says they're dubious canon. If you ask other people, they probably go, no, that is the canon.
There is no
it's
other
like,
canon.
So what you're telling, the very first part of media in Chronicle is the stuff that is not fully canon. I like to disagree, for the most part. But, you know, that's just, Oh, that's just words. I'm so fluent with the English language that I have all the special words we're using right now to capture your attention. Don't worry, it's fine. It's fine. But, yeah. I know there was like one theory going around, or like someone was basically doing a headcanon theory, where it was basically like Mananui isn't a consciousness, but whoever basically uses the Mask of Life to revive him then becomes the new basically inhabitant. So someone on Jova's team was the previous one, and then Motoro basically would have become the next Mananui sort of thing. So essentially it's a bit more sacrificial and a little less of, oh gosh, sacrificial of, we need someone to pilot this rather than I need someone's life to, defibrillate him.
Battery.
Defibrillate. Which is, all the Mask of Life really does is just defibrillates the big body. For the most part. I think.
It's a very powerful little
That's
thing.
how I remember it. It's been a long time since I've actually read like any of the finer details in the Barnacle story, either like the books, comics, or other media. Like when it comes to broad strokes, my memory is still perfectly fine, but when it comes to the finer details, it's a little hazy. To the point where even I was talking to Zakta a couple days ago, talking about Karzani, and I forgot that it was the Zyglak who killed his team and not Karzani. Because that's just, my brain's like, yeah, didn't think about it before. Side note, I only just realized recently something. So, his team member Nicola, Toe of Lightning,
Yes.
there was the art piece, Toe of Lightning, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just realized what the name is definitely a reference and homage.
Nikola Tesla?
Yeah. I only just realized that. Or if I had, I'd forgotten about it. It wasn't until Zach and I are actually driving over here where that clicked in, and I'm just like, oh, this makes sense. Which now I want to believe that one of the other team members is just called Tesla. The Toe of Iron, if there's one. Zach, is there a Toe of Iron on the team?
There is a Toe of Iron on Lesnar's team.
Alright, I'm now saying his name's Tesla.
Headcanon accepted.
I think I need to give that guy a name anyway, so.
Tesla it is. Tesla's not the most unbarnacle name out there, right?
I'll probably
It's actually
a little.
a decent barnacle name.
Yes. Also,
Toa Tesla.
Toa Tesla. Tosla? Tosla?
Toa Tesla has toes.
How many toes? 2?
Toa toes.
Toa even... Okay, outside of the Paraka, the Nika, do any Toa really have toes?
Does it matter?
Yes, it might matter, depending which sushi.
They have one toe on each foot. Okay. Just one big honking toe.
Oh, that sounds like... That makes me think of the thumbs from
So
Spy
they have a
Kids.
Oof.
This is giant, just... Your limb just ends in one giant... I mean, it was just a bunch of thumbs, but if you just had a giant toe, wouldn't your leg just then become one long finger with multiple joints?
Let's not think about this too hard.
You think about that? Well, I had a dream recently where I had toenails for eyelashes. You have to clip it. Body
That
horror.
was information that
Body
I would
horror dreams, I
rather
tell
have
ya.
Not know.
This is
Yes,
why I
well
love
now you
President
and everyone
Paul.
on the internet has the option to know.
Assuming
So-
you made it this far in the video.
Yeah, very true, very true. Although, honestly, that the third time doing this, talking about the Great Spirit Robot, there's not a whole lot to actually say about the robot itself.
It's
I've
big.
learned. Well, that's the thing, it's as big and it houses everything. You can talk about each island maybe a little bit and such, but how does the robot work? Don't know. How big is it? Depends.
Big.
Who pilots it? There's a person. What's his mission? To study, put things back together. When it comes down to, there's not a whole lot of, I would say, little interesting details about the robot.
It's more about what theories. About our theories and stuff.
I mean, it was also, because it was also revealed so late in the game, they only had really 2 or 3 years for Greg to really give you details about it if you wanted.
Yeah.
Now, for me, I've come up with theories where I like to believe that the inside the Manui body, there are basically chutes, all whole transport hubs for Borok to be sent to any part of his body. Or if he at least has Borok basically nests across his body in different locations. Either the nest is all in the head, but I feel like it's okay, if his face was, let's say his foot was sticking out of the ocean, the Borok had to clean that.
That's a long walk.
So I'm thinking that there was either nice long, there's probably a chute system inside of him to either send Borgs, Or he's
They
got...
are this convenient, round, spherical shape.
And that was, like, another thought of mine. So, like, I had a story where it was basically the T.O.A had to go back into the body to find the Bayrag, and he ended up coming somewhere one of these tunnels. And when I think about these sort of stuff, I'm like... And I was also thinking, like, how thick of his skin would you have to get through to get inside of him, I wonder.
I like to think of how thick your own skin is, then amplify that by 1,000,000 or something.
It's like, well, think of what layers go top layer, second layer, third layer. There's technically 3 different layers of skin.
So you basically just have to go through many miles.
Or maybe just a singular mile. So that became a plot hole with writing one time. Also, one thing that I don't know if it's confirmed either is, and I wonder, is if... So Mananui defeats Makuta, right? Makuta gets hit by a Brussels sprout. He goes... plop. He's down, he's out, he's dead, right? He didn't explode. Now Nui reforms the planet. If that body is still there, like in mostly intact, right? The Borok are still living inside him. Will they just go, well, gotta claim this mountain range and this continent off his body now. Ah, boys, it's gonna be a long day.
Must cleanse it.
Or did the Borok just go, Manu's dead. The body's not working.
Well, the Borg don't really have a mind with the...
But the Bayrag, like, how dedicated to the job of the Bayrag Queens?
Perhaps a little too much.
Will they try to basically... Because I feel like they wouldn't leave their nest, but at the same time, they would probably want to do their duty to clean them, so it's like, would they gone like his corpse? Well, time to clean him. I generally want... Like, pretty much from day one... the Great Sphere robot was revealed, I'm pretty sure I've always wondered, what are the Borg going to be doing? Where are they going? Because they never left. Even when Makuta was in charge, they're just like, okay.
This powerful force just waiting to be used again.
Like, I know... Because, like, yeah, you know the T.O.A and the good guys and all that use the Borg to help fight Rockshi. They did that more by just waking them up and they just happened to be in the way of the Borg. So it's not like the Borg are allied with the good guys at all, even if they have nothing quarrel with us. So I'm like, do they have... Would they recognize the fact that the body's dead? But the biggest thing is also just how much did it get destroyed when it got...
I think it mostly just depends if whoever's in charge of Manu at the time remembers to send a signal to the Bayrag.
But I feel like there might be an automatic signal that there's too much growth over it. It just automatically goes, up, boys, we're covered. Although if he's dead, would that even happen? So the Bayrag just perpetually just sitting inside his head, waiting.
Make a good plot for a future story. The Borg are on the loose on Bodamanga.
Just clearing everything out. We had to get rid of this whole continent because it's covering up this whole robot. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I've explored this a little bit, but I would like a canon explanation what the Borg are doing. Are they just at home playing Go
Greg
Fish?
is no longer employed by LEGO,
Well,
ergo you will never get a canon explanation.
That is true. That is very true. And with that, I think we're going to call it a night here. Pretty much almost got
Like
there,
and
so.
subscribe if you've gotten this far.
Yeah, if you got this far, congratulations. I feel sorry for you. Yeah, no, thank you for listening. I've been your host, Onvermel. This has been T.O.A Podcast, and we are retiring from the night.